have joining me today a special guest. He is a candidate running for Lancaster City Council in this upcoming, when's the?
November 2nd.
November 2nd, right?
Yep.
Yeah, November 2nd for local. So if you're a fan of being a part of local government and making a change, Joey's going to be running for the city council. We got hooked up actually just a couple days ago from Mike Wentz. He was on the podcast Unlikely Hero. Shout out to Mike and the Unlikely Heroes. We miss you guys. We hope you come back soon. But that's how Joey and I just met a couple days ago. And just from talking to him a little bit, I could tell he's very passionate about what he's doing. And I think it's just so cool that you are even stepping out and doing something like this at such a young age as well. So for the folks at home, why don't you just tell a little bit about kind of, where you grew up, how you kind of, went through life and got into politics.
So I was born and raised in Lancaster City. Grew up in a pretty decent enough household, I guess. When I was younger, some of the things that kind of formed my life views, my parents split up when I was younger. Both my parents are still in my life, but they split. I have two older brothers, a little brother. Because my parents split and remarried, I got a bunch of stepbrothers, couple half brothers. Went to school. Thankfully for me, my elementary, middle, and high school were all a 10-minute walk from my house.
Okay.
My parents still drove me most of the time, but I would walk home. Just from a pretty young age, I did extracurriculars in school, and that's kind of how I built my interest in music, which is my passion, my side passion besides from politics. I did things like Boy Scouts as well, so there was a little bit of a community service aspect in there. Taught me some life skills, some skills about independence, and just kind of went through life not really having much of a plan as a kid. I always thought as a little kid that I wanted to go to college and I wanted to do fill in the blank.
Yeah.
The time came to make those decisions and I was like, maybe not.
Maybe not.
And so then I started a band with my best friends in high school.
Okay.
One too many. Sadly, we've stopped playing together now, but...
Was it a bluegrass band?
No.
What kind of band was it?
We played a little bit of everything. Generally, I would just describe us as a jam band that did all sorts of other music.
Okay.
And we did pretty well locally. We played... Tellus 360,
nice.
Phantom Power, the Chameleon Club before it shut down.
R.I.P. Chameleon Club.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, though, as a musician, from the musician's perspective, it's okay it closed. As a local musician.
As a local.
Yeah.
That's why DMX didn't show
up. We played Lit It's Fire and Ice 2 years in a row.
Okay.
Which the first time we played Lit It's Fire and Ice was the best gig I've ever had in my life.
What was so good about it?
Just tons of people.
Yeah.
And not everyone was obviously listening to us, but just having looking out and seeing 1,000+ people all just going around drinking hot chocolate with their families, looking at ice sculptures and shit. That was so that was so dope.
Yeah.
And we played a pretty decent show.
Yeah.
But yeah, I played with my local band. Still all really good friends with all of them.
Nice.
And then I fell in with Mike and Mark and Bill, and now I'm playing with the Rundowns, which, pending name change, maybe, I don't know.
Name change?
Name change. We've been in the talks.
Whose idea was that?
Well, it was kind of everyone's, because,
Okay.
Mike and Mark, they just kind of picked the Rundowns when they were a duo.
Yeah.
And then me and Bill joined, and now we're just if we're gonna change it, we should change it sooner rather than later.
Yeah.
We're talking about it. probably won't, because we're gonna toss around band names whatever, Mama's Gravy or some shit, and never decide on one.
Never decide on one.
Yeah.
Nice.
But yeah, kind of went through life with like no plan, right?
Hmm.
And I feel like for my generation, that's kind of the status quo is you either have no plan or you have a plan that wasn't your plan. Your parents gave it to you or someone else. Um, and you know, when I got out of high school, my mom and my stepdad and my little brother actually moved up to Maine.
Oh, nice.
Um,
Beautiful area.
yeah, lovely.
Yeah.
Absolutely lovely. Peace and quiet once you get out of the city.
Yeah.
Just but they moved to Maine and I was given the option to go with them, but I was, you know, playing with the band, my girlfriend's here, you know, life is in Lancaster for me, so I didn't leave. And ever since then I've been living with my brothers,
Hmm.
but it's been like a different one every year.
Okay.
So, I think I finally found like my home base with my one brother Vinny, but yeah, once they moved away, like I really had to reconsider things in my life. And I actually went to Hack, which is a community college. I went there for a semester while I was working full time, and I just was like, this is too much. I
Hmm.
don't really feel I didn't really go to Hack because I wanted to. I actually got scholarship money from my high school, McCaskey, and it was like, just go for a semester and try it out.
Yeah.
Um, just wasn't for me.
Hmm.
At that point in my life, I think now that I'm a little more mature, I've definitely considered going back to school.
Yeah.
Still don't know what it would be for, but going
Yeah.
back to school.
Yeah. Yeah.
And doing the whole music thing, and then, you know, just the past few years, like I've been politically minded since I was like maybe 15, 16 years old.
How did that come about?
So I think it's the story for a lot of people in my generation is like we met this guy called Bernie Sanders and we were like, wow, like he's really speaking some truth.
Hmm.
You know, like I was raised through my household, through the media, through schooling, just the general atmosphere. I was raised to believe like America, like we are the dopest country on the planet. Everyone is free here, yada yada yada. And I'm not saying that all that's 100% untrue,
Hmm.
but it's not 100% true
Hmm.
either for a lot of folks. And you know, seeing this guy Bernie Sanders come and speak real truth to people who are struggling kind of woke me up to the fact that like did my family struggle? Yeah.
Hmm.
Were there times where cuz my parents split up and then 2008 financial crisis hit, money was tight. My mom had a good job, but at one point my mom was literally working 2 jobs and a side hustle, or as I like to call it, the average millennial workflow.
Yeah. Yep.
But
I've been a part of that.
yeah. But you know, like, was I ever starving? No, but there were times when I went hungry as a kid.
Mm.
I was wearing hand-me-down clothes. I got made fun of for having hand-me-down clothes, having, you know, shitty off-brand shoes. I didn't ask you. Am I okay to swear a little?
Yeah,
Like,
go ahead.
okay,
Yeah,
cool,
that's
cool.
fine.
Yeah, shitty off-brand shoes. And those experiences kind of made me realize just how lucky I am because while I didn't really enjoy those things, I went to school with kids who the only meal they ate was at school.
Yeah.
I went to school with kids who wore the same dirty clothes day on end, whether it was because of financial reasons, lack of parental whatever, their home situation, you know. And so while my life wasn't perfect, I knew from a young age that my cup is full. And on a good handful of days, my cup is overflowing. My cup is running out. So when I heard this guy Bernie Sanders like speak some real truth, it made me realize just how important it is that just because I'm okay, just because I'm comfortable, it's still really important that we try to make sure that all the people around us are also okay and comfortable. And that doesn't mean that we're all living in mansions and we have a yacht and whatever else. That just means people are fed. That just means people have housing. That just means people feel like they belong, you know? And so, yeah, I heard him speaking all these things and I'm like, how could this guy not become president? are you serious? How could this guy not become president? And then it kind of woke me up to the reality that politics isn't about people having good ideas. It's not about people getting the mass support, because at the end of the day, on the presidential level, popular vote doesn't matter. It's the electoral college. And even beneath that, at least within the Democratic Party, again, popular vote, depending on the state, doesn't, or not the state, but once you get to like the delegate level where they actually decide the nominee, again, some delegates can just pick who they want rather than what the people from their area voted for.
I think something that the past 4 years have done was expand people to other, like, look into other parties. Do I ever think that independent or, you know, someone that's running in another party is going to win the presidency? I don't think so. You know, but when it comes to local government, like what you're getting into here shortly, I think it's all the importance that we have a chance to hear a different voice rather than the old. But you said something earlier to me when we were talking before, is that a lot of Republicans and Democrats don't realize that they have a lot of the same beliefs. You know, it's just being presented differently. And I think over the past couple of years, you know, drastically, there was this cut right down the middle of you're either this, or this if you're a Republican, you're either this, or this if you're a Democrat. Yeah. And how we got to that point just baffles my mind, because, you know, the point of this great government was always checks and balances. You know, you check me, I check you. Out of that comes the different ideas. Some are very progressive ideas, some are very conservative ideas, but that's what always made this country work. And I had one of my friends on, and we were having a healthcare discussion. You know, obviously right now in our country, the healthcare system is pretty fragile, not where I think it should be. And that's just my personal opinion. So like you're saying, like with some of these ideas that are being presented now, why not look into some of those? Why not, you know, just feel out over some of these different ideas that are possibly able to be obtained?
Well, quite simply, as I'll tell you, with a lot of political issues, it's that the voters agree, or at least there's a majority of voters that agree. The majority of voters in this country do think that we should have some form of socialized medicine. That shouldn't be a scary thing. Every other developed nation on the planet has this. And they do it for less money than we're currently spending. You know, and they get better healthcare results in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
But the reason those things don't happen is because our government's bought by large corporations and wealthy
companies,
yeah,
so on and so forth. That's one thing that I learned recently, or probably 2 or 3 years ago. I was sick, did not have insurance, went to go pick up my medicine. My medicine cost me less than it did when I had insurance, just from me going in and paying. I saw something the other day, news story about insulin. If you go up to the counter and ask for 2 things of insulin, it's like $40. If you pay for it with insurance, it's like $400.
Wow.
I got to look into some of that too, but it's just like it seems to be that way, just in my personal experience and other, you know. Anyway, we don't have to go on the healthcare train anyway.
Yeah, but simply put, a lot of issues like healthcare, raising the minimum wage, changing the way we vote, like ranked choice voting, so that way people don't feel discouraged when they want to support that independent candidate.
What's rank voting? Sorry, I don't know much about
it. So essentially, say like it's Republican, Democrat, and Green Party. Let's just say. I don't have to be feared into voting for Democrat or Republican, because a lot of times what happens is that when people say they're going to vote for third party, people go, okay, yeah, but you're really just voting for the party that I oppose because your guy's not going to win. So you're taking a vote away from the Democrats. With ranked choice voting, if you put the Green Party as your number 1 and the Democrats as your number 2, if the Green Party doesn't obtain a certain amount of votes, that would mean that they essentially would win. Or if it is a little too complex for me to explain right now without, like I said, I'm sleepy.
No,
it's been a long day. But long story short, essentially, like if the person that you rank first doesn't get enough votes to win, or like the other opposing person doesn't have a majority to win,
Mhm.
then you go to everyone's second vote.
Okay.
So like if I put Green, Democrat, Republican, and you put Republican, Green, Democrat, and yada yada yada, if the Green Party just obviously has no chance at victory, everyone that put Green Party as their first vote, we go to whoever they rank second.
Okay. Got you.
It makes it easier so that way I can vote based on my real beliefs. Because a lot of times I feel like people are feared into this idea that, again, if you don't vote for X candidate, you're actually just supporting Y candidate.
Hmm.
I was talking to a guy from work, and he was like, we disagree politically. He said, I'm a libertarian, and I'm very proud to say that I voted for the Libertarian Party in the presidential election because I couldn't vote for Trump, and I couldn't vote for Joe Biden. And a lot of people would look at him and say, you're stupid. And no matter what side they're on, they're going to say, you're stupid because you should have just voted for my candidate. Because really, by voting third party, you gave a vote to the other candidate. That's just not the reality. But, again, politics is a game of fear. You know, so by instituting ranked choice voting, people can start voting based on their actual beliefs. And a lot of states already have this. The state of Maine, I'm pretty sure, because that's where my mom is at. They have ranked choice voting. I'm pretty sure New York City, I don't know if New York State does.
I believe, does New York City have it? I think they do.
Yeah. They have ranked choice voting.
Yeah.
Their last mayoral election was the first one to have it, I'm pretty sure. So it's not like this new radical idea that, you know, it already exists in America. It just doesn't exist on a federal level.
Yeah.
Which a lot of voters, I think, once you explain it to them, once you talk to them, they would support it.
Yeah.
The reality is again, Democrats and Republicans, they're bought out in a lot of cases by the same people. There are wealthy people that play both sides in our government.
Yeah.
Because either way, they're winning.
No, go ahead. I'm sorry.
It's pretty simple because if I give $500 million to the Republican candidate and I give $500 million to the Democratic candidate, no matter who wins, I'm going to say, okay, I gave you $500 million. Make sure that you don't pass this healthcare legislation because I have a financial interest in that. You owe me. I helped you win. You owe me.
Yeah. Yeah. What about the Electoral College do you think is broken or needs to change?
I have conflicting beliefs on the founding of America. As I've gotten older, I've gotten a little more cynical because, you know, you start to understand the real historical context of what really happened when we declared independence. But the Electoral College, in my opinion, it just needs to be gotten rid of because the reality is if you have these what is it? It's like 435 or 500, something like that.
They have to get to a certain number, and
you need 270 at least.
Yeah, and by every population, that kind of determines if you have so many electoral votes, this, that, and the third. And honestly, when I've been through, all right, I was born in the 90s. I've been through Clinton, Bush, Obama, Trump, now Biden. And every time that I watch the election, it just seems like a game show to me with the way the Electoral College is, because it's like, oh, you know, who's going to get Pennsylvania? And, is that necessarily broken? I don't know. You know, I'm not too versed in politics, so I understand the concept behind it. I do. Do I think that's the best concept? Probably not. Is there other ones that we can look into? I think so.
Well, I think a simple way to put it, and not to, I don't want to offend any Republican voters, but at the end of the day, Trump, he lost the popular vote. He won the Electoral College. Bush, other than 2004, I think he might have won the popular vote, but 2000, he lost the popular vote. Won the Electoral College.
Yeah.
Who was the Republican president before Clinton?
That would have been Bush, right? I believe so.
The other Bush, yeah.
You gotta make me think there. I knew that. But I was like
I'm pretty positive he lost the popular vote.
Yeah.
Won the Electoral College. there is a system in play
Mm.
in our politics that essentially is people are losing,
Yeah,
but they're winning.
but they're winning. Yeah. So what's the voting process like in for running for something like city council?
It's
Just straight up.
straight up based on the amount of votes you get,
So
which
pretty much
is
a popular vote.
yeah.
Yeah, overall. Okay. So getting into all these politics and everything, obviously you're very passionate about a lot of the things that you believe in. What sparked that to be like, I'm actually going to go and do this?
Um. Again, I don't want to get like too cynical, but
Yeah.
dude, like I've had these feelings building for a while.
Mm.
I watched this election in 2016 happen, and I'm like, how did Donald Trump win?
Mm.
Not because of Bernie Sanders, not because of third parties, not because of no, it's because the Democrats ran a crap candidate.
Mm.
Hillary Clinton was a crap candidate. I'm not saying Trump is better. Hillary Clinton was a crap candidate. Trump won on fear.
Mm.
Trump and in some cases he won on hope about returning this American way of life.
Mm.
Fast forward to 2020, honestly, without Trump's mishandling of the coronavirus, I don't think Joe Biden would have won.
Mm.
Joe Biden was another crap candidate.
Mm.
And so what got me to start running is just the reality for people that Joe Biden's not going to do anything for you and me.
Mm.
You know, maybe he's better than Trump, and I believe he is. But Joe Biden's not going to do anything for me. He's never going to talk to me.
Mm.
My state senator, maybe I can get a meeting with him. Probably won't change anything.
Mm.
My county commissioners, I can go to the meeting and I can go yell at them in public, and people can go yell at them, and we can go protest. The mayor, the city council, yeah, it's pretty easy to go talk to them.
Mm.
They might not listen to you. They might not do anything, but yeah, you can go, not aggressively, I hope, especially physically, but you can go get in their face and tell them what you really think, and they got to sit there and take it and hear you out.
Yeah.
And so, like, yeah, is local politics very limited? Yes. But is it effective on changing things within your community? Yes. Local politics deals with how we fund the police, the fire, how we make sure that, the water stays running, the lights stay on, certain legislation around, like, health and safety and our zoning laws and that sort of thing. Local politics is really important. It's really hard to be informed about it compared to the federal level, because obviously the media might not always trust the spin they put on it, but they're covering that stuff. No one's really vested in covering the ins and outs of local politics. And so what got me to run is this idea of, like, I wanted to educate myself. I wasn't originally intending on running. Like I said before, my older brother, Tony, he's been pretty involved in Lancaster politics for a while, and he was running, and I was going to support him. And as I was continuing to, like, educate myself and get involved, I was like, you know what, like, why don't I run? I don't see anyone else running as an independent at this time other than my brother. I want to support my brother, but, I have ideas of my own. I have a way of my own that I want to communicate with people. Why don't I run?
Yeah.
So I'm doing it.
And
then it just so happened that my brother ended up withdrawing due to some personal reasons. So now I'm a lone wolf out here.
Lone wolfing it all by yourself.
Yeah.
So the party that you're running as or for is the Golden Goose Party. Can you explain what that is, kind of some of the beliefs of the party, a little bit of why you chose to go that route?
So, well, I'll start with why we chose to go that route. It's because political parties do matter in the sense that that's a way that you can organize people around a name, around a platform, around a set of ideas. It's a way that you can get people who are specifically going to have the institutional knowledge to provide you with, which I feel like on a local level is a lot of what I'm lacking, because I don't have someone informing me about campaign finance.
Yeah.
I have to read about it in this legal jargon that I barely understand. I don't have someone informing me on what's in city code and what's not in city code. I have to read the city code and interpret it in this legal jargon that I barely understand myself.
Yeah.
So we want to build this party essentially because you need like some sort of power apparatus. Again, not that you can't run as an independent, and you should. I think more people should. But if you're serious about pursuing real political change, a party in some instances is your best bet.
Yeah.
The ideas behind the Golden Goose are still essentially being formed because it's me, my brother, and one of my close friends who really started this. And quite honestly, while we all agree politically, narrowing down a platform, especially on a local level, which is solely our interest in politics, at least at this moment, like that's the end all be all for me.
Yeah.
It's hard to narrow down a platform that's easy to communicate with people. So general ideas are things like transparency within the government, not only making sure that people have access and easy access to information and services from the government, but then also that there's a transparent process for how we push through development projects. Just, again, it's really hard to inform yourself.
Yeah.
And so breaking down some of those barriers to entry for people means that more people who are busy doing their lives, they're going to be able to have a more informed opinion.
Yeah.
Because honestly, there's nothing worse, and I've experienced this myself because I go and I speak at city council meetings, and I'm a young man with no formal education. I'm doing this all on my own right now.
Yeah.
I've said some pretty stupid stuff. You know what I mean? I've like, even just in this conversation, I've kind of just been rambling because, like...
Ramble away, sir.
Dude, I've never given a stump speech. I've never...
Yeah.
I've informed myself, but it's one thing to read about things, and it's another thing to try to educate other people about things.
Yeah.
So, making the government more transparent, more accessible is really important. So that way people who are busy with their kids, with work, with their social lives, can also have a more informed say.
Yeah.
Things like sustainability. As a young person, I am horribly terrified of what the future holds. And that's like when I was saying, like, my girlfriend told me I can't go down that rabbit hole.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
The future is not bright. The future is not bright for my generation. But there are things that we can do on a local level, both in terms of our physical infrastructure and our social infrastructure, to maintain a certain standard of living, maintain a certain comfort.
Yeah.
And one of my real goals is not only maintaining everyone's standard of living as is, but raising that standard of living for people at the bottom. Because as we know, in society, basically anywhere across the globe, there's inequity.
Yeah.
There's always going to be poor people.
Yeah.
People don't have to live in poverty.
Yeah.
That's a policy choice. People don't, in this country, in America, people do not have to be starving.
Yeah.
That is a policy choice. People don't have to be lacking the medical care they need. That is a policy choice. There are things we can do as a society, as a government, to ensure a basic standard of living for people.
Yeah.
And that's something that even if I can only make action on that at a local level and it's limited, it needs to be done.
Yeah.
What's the point of sustaining anything if you're sustaining inequality? Right?
I like that. Put that quote on a shirt.
I will. Put that quote on the website. Transparency, sustainability, and just general community ownership. And I'm not saying that in like communist social housing, there's no private property. I'm saying that in like people need to feel like there's a real community around them. And a lot of people do.
Yeah.
A lot of people do. But what I mean is, like, the government can't solve all of our problems.
Yeah.
Even the best government in the world with the most honest people running it and all the resources, they can't solve all the problems.
Yeah.
But if I know you're struggling, if you're my neighbor 3 houses over and I know you're struggling and your kids need to eat and I have food, I'm going I'm going to come bring it to your house.
Yeah.
We're going to sit down and have a meal, and we're going to have a conversation, and we're going to build a community. We're going to build a network.
Yeah.
There are people already doing the work
Yeah.
in my community, and I do not want to overlook that by any means.
Yeah.
I am simply this young guy who's trying to get involved.
Yeah.
There are already people doing the work. There is this group called Lancaster Abolition, and every month they do a free market at the park by my house where they're giving out food, clothes, and like books and reading literature.
Yeah.
And yeah, for someone who has the money to afford those things, it's like, okay, what's the big deal? But if you're homeless, or if you have 4 kids and you don't have a lot of money because you're a single mom or a single dad working 2 jobs, yeah, if you can bring your kid home something nice to eat, something to read, like, yeah, that's going to make
That's
your life
community.
better.
Getting together, making life better. Yeah, I agree with you 100%. I believe community is everything. I think especially in this generation, we're so self-minded, like just lone wolf almost minded. I'm strong, I'm independent, I can do this on my own, but we don't realize how much we need each other, and especially to get around each other. I have an amazing church family that I see these people maybe a couple times, but that know when I'm hurting or going through something, that like they're there in a heartbeat. And I've also seen that I think it's easier to find in Lancaster County because of more of the conservative mindset, but you do have a lot of these rural loving areas that communities reach out to each other. I can think of the young Amish girl that unfortunately lost her life, Miss Linda Stolzfus, and the way that community just from all over too, different counties just coming just to support that, and I look at something like that, and I'm so glad like that to hear you. I think it's so cool and so amazing that you're like learning this stuff along the way, and you're okay to admit that. You're trying to be upfront, real, and honest, regardless if people out there may disagree with some of your political beliefs. We need more of that.
Yeah.
And the things that people disagree with on other people's beliefs, and if they're in office or running for office, that should be the point of community, to get together and talk and say, where can we compromise on this? Because I need you to see my point of view and what's happening here, and I want to hear your point of view because it may be able to sharpen me better. And I'm glad that you're doing that.
Yeah.
It's something that I think government on a federal level to a local level is lacking. It's a giant WWE match right now. Everyone's just throwing tables and chairs.
And I'll tell you what, man. Like, because again, I'm an independent. I'm doing this by myself. I don't have money. I don't have the traditional resources. I've had to reach out to get all the help that I've wanted. And it's been there when I've gone and asked for it, but I've had to be the one to reach out, right? Yeah. I've been having to go and knock on people's doors. And that is a really humbling experience because let me tell you, like I said at the beginning, I know I'm privileged. I know my cup is full. But until you go and talk to some folks, you just don't know how good you have it.
Yeah.
Because I went and knocked on this gentleman's door. He wasn't too interested in what I was talking about. And gave him my little door hanger, kept it pushing. About 10 minutes later, I'm halfway up the block, and he comes walking up to me, and he's just like, hey, man, I wanted to thank you for what you're doing. And if you got a minute, I want to talk to you. And I was like, yeah, of course. And he starts telling me about some really real shit.
Yeah.
He's facing eviction, him, his wife, and their son. He's had a mental health issue, and so he needs medication because he has to keep going to work and functioning to try to provide. His son has a mental health issue, so he needs assistance. And in that moment, I feel so powerless because this man's bearing his soul in front of me, and I can't do anything for him other than give him the access to certain resources.
Yeah.
But just the fact that he went out of his way to come back up and talk to me and tell me what I'm doing is really important, and to not stop, that fuels a fire.
Yeah.
Because there are so many people like that.
Yeah.
There's a lot of really important work that has to be done. And until people go out and start talking to folks who are really struggling, because I'm sure we disagree politically, me and him. But at the end of the day, I came to his door to talk to him and ask him what's wrong with his life and how I can help.
Yeah.
There are so many people that literally I will come to their door, and without even saying any of my political beliefs, they're like, yeah, I'll vote for you. I'll support you.
Nice.
Why? Well, you're young. You came and knocked on my door. When's the last time you had anyone from the government come and knock on your door? Never.
Yeah.
I get it. Our politicians are busy with their lives. Our director of public works is busy. They're busy with their personal lives and with their literal jobs.
Yeah.
At the same time, we can't just not be going out and talking to these people. We really shouldn't be going out every 4 years when we need to get reelected and talking to these people. That's really offensive. How can I expect you to support me if the only time I come around to ask you what's going on is when I need your vote? You know, I go out and talk to these people, and it's a humbling experience because, again, I feel powerless. Like, there's nothing I can do to help them right now.
Yeah.
But the work I'm doing is hopefully so that way I can be in a position where I can.
Yeah. It gives you an arsenal, too, you know, because you are out there talking to these people and going through what they're experiencing at that time. And I think that that's a good thing for anybody that is thinking of getting into politics, is because that can also shape your view. You know, you can go into something and being like, I have this view. This is what I believe in. And then you, like, get down on someone's level and you're just like, that's why that's like this, or this is why this is like this. Absolutely. So when you're running for city council, what exactly would you be doing in there? And what are some of the things that you'd like to do if you get in there?
So the main responsibilities of city council, at least Lancaster City Council, I'm sure it's different between municipalities, but essentially we set the general government budget and we approve it. We vote to approve it. And we approve local ordinances and essentially we approve or deny local laws and changes to the law and that sort of thing. That's within city code that we have control over.
Yeah.
What I think a lot of people do need to understand is that city government can't control everything. We have to operate within a city code set by the state government. But things that I would be looking to do, going back to it, transparency. Throughout the entire pandemic, all of our meetings were held over Zoom. That was the right choice to make. As we have started to transition back to in-person meetings, only city council meetings have been held over Zoom, have been virtually accessible. That's a step, but also, as someone who's trying to become involved and informed, I want to be able to access the planning commission meeting, the housing authority meeting. I want to be able to access the health board meeting. I want to be everything.
Every meeting.
Every public government meeting needs to be virtually accessible.
Yeah.
And when I say virtually accessible, I don't just mean that I can watch it.
Yeah.
You should also be able to make a public comment. If we can verify that you live in the city, because it's really only for city residents or property owners to make a comment, you should be able to do it virtually.
Yeah.
And what was, again, fueling the fire is that I actually had plans. I actually had rehearsal with the rundowns at 7 o'clock on a Wednesday night, but there was a planning commission meeting at 6.
Okay.
And they were talking about a project that I had some comments to make on. And I was like, well, let me not go to the meeting in person because then I'm going to end up being late for rehearsal. Let me just Zoom in on my drive there. I can make my comment in the car. It's all good.
Yeah.
It's like 6:03. I'm like, when are they going to start the Zoom? They have the link online, right? You click on it. I'm like, when are they going to start the Zoom? 5 minutes later, like, when are they going to start the Zoom? My brother was there in person. I texted him like, hey, the meeting's going on. What do you mean? So I texted the Rundowns group chat, and I was like, hey, guys, I'm going to be late because I got to go yell at the government.
Yeah.
And so I go to the planning commission meeting, and I make my comments on the project. And then me and my brother are also making comments on the fact that these things should be virtually accessible. And essentially the commissioners are like, are these meetings public meetings? Well, yes. Okay, so they can be here in person, right? And I'm like, yeah, I guess they can, but why are you trying to prevent people from having a say in their government? Again, people work, people have jobs.
People have kids, people are busy.
I love how I said people work, people have jobs. But
people work, people have jobs.
Sometimes, yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah, people have kids.
Yeah.
People, want to stay home when they get home from work, you know? So why are we making it harder for them to participate? That
Yeah.
doesn't make any sense.
Well, a thought that I had was when you're talking about that, like, you know, you have to verify cities. Well, I'm always getting mail all the time from things that I don't want. You know, why don't you just throw a Zoom meeting code in the mail, and then only the people, Lancaster residents that got that mail would get it, right?
Well, there are, all sorts of different ideas, like
But was mine the best?
I don't know. See, the mail thing, there could be a delay,
Yeah, that's true.
But like we have this like Lancaster Engage website, which essentially gives people the ability to comment on city projects.
Okay.
They have to verify their identity and their residence on there.
Yeah.
Why don't we just do it through that?
Yeah.
You know, and the thing is, too, at, like, city council meetings, it's not like I have to be like, this is my exact coordinates of my house. I just got to say the block I live on.
Yeah.
100 block of North Plum Street.
Yeah.
And my name.
Yeah.
So it's really not that hard.
Yeah.
Honestly, so if I was a city council member, I'm going to fight to make sure that it's in the budget that we're going to install semi-permanent audio and visual infrastructure, much like this, so that way with a few clicks of a button, every city government meeting can be broadcast to the public.
Yeah. And very easy.
And very easy.
Yeah.
And another idea I had to build off that is, why don't we work with some of the local schools and youth groups and those sorts of things, so that way we can get kids involved in government? Because, they can't vote.
Yeah.
But again, they're the future. The future's not looking too good. So they need to start having avenues to participate and inform themselves. You know, this doesn't have to be hard unless we make it hard.
Yeah. There was what group was that in high school? Oh gosh. FBLA, Future Business Leaders of America. I was always interested in that, and there was like an underlining of politics to that. And like when we got into history class, Miss Lotto, favorite teacher of all time, love you, shout out. She was, what was that class you have in there, like economics and government and things like that. And I actually won our mimic presidential debate. And I had very, very harsh words and not good ideas that people at the time would have been privy to. But I was honest. And even though it was a fake school debate, it's what I learned. Honestly, I always tried to stay truthful to people. You know, try my best. We're all human. We flaw sometimes. Things happen. But when that happened to me in high school, and like after I won, and I didn't think I was going to win, because I'm like, I'm just going to come up here and just tell the truth, say what's on my mind. I learned that when you tell the truth, people respond to that, even if they disagree with you. And why has that gotten away? You know, our founding fathers, Honest Abe, you know, like most of the people that kept things pretty straightforward with the American people, you know, why do you think that's died down so rapidly?
Well, like I said, I could totally get into where we might disagree on.
I also don't want to get you down a rabbit hole. I apologize, girlfriend, if I.
Yeah. I'll say it like this. We might like to call him Honest Abe.
Yes.
And maybe he was honest. I don't know if he was a good person.
Okay.
He did decent things. I don't know if he was a good person. Because
Okay.
that's the same guy that said, if I could preserve the Union without freeing any slaves, I would do it.
That is true.
So.
That is true.
And George Washington, all them guys.
It was honest, though. Even though it was wrong.
Yes.
It was honest.
But why do we get away from that?
Yeah.
Here's the thing. Donald Trump, for example. He didn't tell the truth. He told his truth.
Yeah.
Facts nowadays are malleable. Facts don't matter anymore. And that's why it's easy for a guy like Donald Trump to come in and say, I'm going to drain the swamp and I'm going to stop deficit spending. But did you do any of that? No, you didn't. Donald Trump, the same guy who said, yes, I do believe that we should have a government option of some form of health care for people. Did he ever present that plan while he was running, or while he was president for 4 years, or while he was running for re-election? No, he didn't. All he did was try to cut Obamacare, which is not perfect, But did it cover millions of people who were uninsured?
Hmm.
Yes, it did.
Hmm.
Facts don't matter in
Hmm.
politics. And again, like I go back to this, is like Bernie Sanders, people might disagree with him, but he's speaking the truth.
Yeah.
Wages are too low in this country. Our politicians are bought out.
While we're on Bernie, really quick,
Let's talk about him. I love that guy.
I'll
Happy birthday. Happy late birthday to the king.
I'll say this about Bernie Sanders. I think a lot of people are scared that he is in some way a socialist. And here's what I say to this. Do I agree with everything that he presents? Absolutely not. Just like I would with any other candidate, though. Do I believe that all of his policies and beliefs are extremely as social as people think? No, I don't. I think a lot of things that he presented and a lot of things that he presents were very well thought out. Were in favor of the American people, not corporations. Even though some of the policies that he was presenting would involve very big corporations in order to get through, but that aside, I think there's a heart behind it. If you look and compare the 2016 policies between himself and the former President Trump, a lot of them are very similar. It's so it's something for me with when like I guess when I said earlier about presenting new ideas. I think this country was built so much on a progression because we went through these big boom periods throughout our history a lot quicker than what the rest of the world had. You start to get that level of comfort and you start to get that level of, like you said with your experience, like you may not have grown up the best, but you've grown up well. I can say that for myself too. I had two hardworking parents that did the best that they could for me. I was an only child, so that made it a little easier. But at that same time, I look back on it being an adult now and look at my parents, what they had to go through to provide that life for me. I think is what Bernie was trying to get across the whole entire time. Is like, we're here for the working Americans. We're here for you guys. And we don't think it's fair that this country over here is getting free insurance, free medical insurance, and you're not. We think that this country over here is being well paid, and you guys aren't. To the point of if you're a single person in this day and age and want to almost afford a studio apartment, you need to at least make $16.25 an hour, which then, we can get into the other topic of kind of forces young people to either get married early or start a family, and that's where I agree with him to somewhat of a point. But then, this is the beauty of this country, though. We're able to express those opinions. We're able to express those things. Do I think that there's somewhat of a cancel culture going on? I do, but I don't think it's as extreme as what people are presenting it to be. When you start to look at the picture of the whole, well, man is flawed and man is always going to be flawed, which is why we need parties to check each other. And when you start to go into what Bernie Sanders was talking about, that can get very icky for some people that aren't used to the idea, which I understand. There are some ideas in there that I completely are against with what he believed in. But to not give him a chance, and I think it's part of, we can go into the 16 election. I believe it should have been Bernie versus Trump and not Hillary. But that goes into the power of politics, like you're saying, with money. And, I understand the Clinton family. I understand kind of like what goes on around that stuff. And it's just like, it's got to stop at some point. The beauty of local government, I believe, is where you really see that this country still has a voice. There's a lot of things locally that get done, which it should be the people governing themselves. And yeah, we have to kind of submit here and there to federal government and state government levels, understandably. But a buddy of mine told me that the point of, like, this country isn't completely free and never was. To have freedom, some have to be sacrificed, and it's for the greater good of the whole. And when we're looking at the greater good of the whole, how can we have these different opinions that we have with each other but still be on the same level? What's that like for you, balancing that going into this running for city council right now, of that balance of you have so many people around you, especially in Lancaster County in general, and now the city might lean a little more toward one way than the other, but just in general, I mean, you still have that whole mix, a plethora of different ideas and people. So how does that affect you while you're running for council right now, going into that with having all of these ideas being thrown at you?
Well, I mean, I just tell people straight up, man. I'm just straight up with them. Like, listen, if you answer your door and I talk to you, right? You can be a Republican, you can be a conservative. We're not going to agree, and that's fine. I came to your door to talk to you, and a lot of people respect that. And even though they might be a Republican or they might be X, Y, and Z, they're like, you know what? You're listening to me, you're respecting me, you're not belittling me.
Hmm.
You're, even when we disagree, you're trying to educate me to your point of view. Yeah, I'll support you because, again, people are so divided.
Hmm.
And it's not just the politicians' fault. A lot of it has to do with the media.
Yeah.
The media doesn't talk about real issues. The media doesn't talk about the fact that our minimum wage is $7.25 an hour. And like you said, as a single person working full time, you can't just about nowhere in the country can you afford housing on that minimum wage. And like you said, for the most part, you got to be making like $16, $17 an hour to do that.
Yeah.
We can disagree, but when we're speaking about simple, real things that affect people's lives, it's a lot easier for us to agree.
Yeah.
When we're talking about how we're going to keep the water running, how we're going to keep the lights on, food on the table, people are a lot more likely to go, okay, yeah, like, that's a good idea.
Good idea.
Let's try that.
Yeah. And if it fails, it fails. If it works, it works.
Yeah.
I think that's the beauty of checks and balances. Like, we don't have to keep doing the same thing.
Yes. And I think that, like, and I don't want to hash up that whole argument, but you kind of compared Bernie Sanders to Trump. I don't think they were the same.
No.
Policy-wise.
Policy-wise, yes. Yeah.
Again, Trump, I don't think was telling the truth. He was telling his truth, and that connected with a lot of folks because they are disenfranchised.
Yeah.
And when you have folks that are desperate, that's when you can have a strong man figure come in and tell them what he's going to do for them, whether it's true or not. And that's one of the things that scares me politically, is that if things keep getting so bad for average people, for regular people, and you have the wrong person get in a position of power, you can convince them to do horrible things.
Yeah.
And that, obviously, we're not in that state of despair that Germany was in, but Hitler didn't come to power because everyone there was this vitriol racist who wanted to kill all the Jews. Hitler came into power because everyone was poor. Hitler came into power because everyone was poor and pissed off and starving, and they didn't feel like they had a future. And so he said, you know what, we're just going to blame this minority group. And lots of regularly good people turn into Nazis overnight. It's not that hard to watch that happen. I read this book called, I forget the exact title, but essentially, the majority of people can't resist authority.
Yeah.
And it's discussing the fact that when there's an authority figure telling you what to do and why it's going to do X, Y, and Z, it's more likely to make you just do the thing. Yeah. Just get it done. Just make it happen. When there's an authority figure, you weren't the one that made the gas that killed the Jews, but you're just the guy pulling the lever. So just pull the lever. If people keep getting desperate, bad things might happen. And we already saw that with Trump. Not that any, like, general genocide like that was happening, but who did he blame? He blamed immigrants. He blamed... I mean, honestly, yeah, basically, he essentially just blamed immigrants, which is something this country doesn't need because this is a country of immigrants. This is a country that's built on that melting pot of cultures and ideas. And so when we start blaming specific groups of people, or we start blaming minorities in this country, and we're not focusing on the reality that it's that poor person who's doing this work for you that's honestly not getting paid a proper wage, it's not their fault that your life sucks. It's the guys up top.
Yeah.
It's the guys up top.
It's a trickle.
We need to stop blaming
Yeah.
everyone else, and that's what the media does. Is we want to blame Republicans, or we want to blame Democrats, or we want to blame the immigrants, or we want to blame the Chinese, or we want to blame.
Yeah.
No. There is a minority to be blamed, and that's the people at the top.
Yeah.
They're the ones who bought our government out and are making the decisions.
Yeah.
How do you deal with differences of opinion? I think going to that like socialist idea. I'll be the first one to tell you. I don't view myself as like a socialist or communist. I do view myself to the left of the Democrats. That's for sure. But just about, again, all of these other countries that have, a proper education system where people can go to school outside of, beyond high school without going into massive amounts of debt. Most of the places, they don't assume any debt.
Yeah.
The places where you can get proper health care without going bankrupt, they have strong sections of their government that are openly socialist, openly communist. It's not like their government is... Germany is a capitalist country. They have socialist parties. I learned today, Portugal. Portugal is a capitalist country. The three main parties that have been running their government since 2016 and just got reelected is the Socialist Party, the Communist Party, and the Green Party. They are capitalist. They just have people in their government saying, hey, listen, people need healthcare. People need education. People need food. People need better wages.
Yeah.
And the people obviously agree because they reelected them. When it comes to dealing with different ideas, I think we need to get away from some of these labels because they're used to scare us all, when in reality, all I'm saying, bro, I just want you to make more money. I want to make sure that you can provide for your family because that's all I want.
Yeah.
Dude, not to get emotional, but again, the future's not looking bright. I've been warming up to this idea that, really what I would love to be in this life more than anything else is a father. I don't want to bring a child into this world the way it's heading. I don't know if I can provide for them. I don't know if it's worth bringing them into, because I don't want them to struggle. Yeah. Do you have kids?
No.
No?
No.
Do you want to have kids?
I'm on a middle teeter right now with that. If you would have asked me that 5 years ago, I said absolutely not. Now that I'm a little older, I'm like, maybe we'll see what happens.
Right, that's what I'm saying. But then it's like, yeah, man, but the cost of everything's going up, and
but you want to know something funny though? That what you just said there is the reason why I didn't want to have kids 5 years ago. I'll be completely honest. I don't want to bring a child into this world. I'm an only child, and I see how that has shaped me in different ways too as well. But even thinking back to my childhood, again, I am not saying anything bad because I had a great childhood, and my parents did everything they could for me. But we were poor. But I didn't know we were poor because they did such a good job at doing that, And I think that's kind of where it hits home with me for the whole kids thing is this is a reality. I've been through things in my life right now that I had to get myself out of, and it took a lot of money and left me starting over. And how many times I've had to start over because of things. Now, were some of those things my dumb situations and ideas? Yes, but regardless, I think this generation has gotten so used. And the one thing about this generation, though, too, that they done statistically, it's really interesting to me is my generation at least is very high tippers. As where the generation before me is not. And it's because, something in our minds are we've made, a good amount of money growing up into where we are now that we just throw it because we understand the other person that's sitting on that side, that they're not, making that, as to where other people are judging service or something else or anything like that. But the point of that is, we were so on this thing of, go to college, get a good job, have a family, and then we started to wake up and realize, well, college is shit, and the job, I can go be a plumber and make 10 times more than I would as a MBA somewhere, I mean, not right away, obviously, but it's just I remember, do you want to know something really funny to me? And I won't name the college out, but I was going to go to college, and I went and I did the whole thing. I did end up going to college, but not this first college. This was right after high school. And I go to take their business course, And I'm 17 years old at the time, and I'm a retail store manager. And the lady that was setting everything up, I literally almost finalized everything. She said, "Okay, I'll be right back. I just gotta get the final paperwork. You can read our success stories of our students here, and I'll be back." I'm like, "Okay." And it's all my program, and I started reading it, and it's just like Gerald. These aren't real names; these are just made up names. But it's like Gerald is a manager at an Oshkosh Bagosh, and this girl is a manager at a Long John Silver's, and this, that, and the third, and everything. And I'm looking at that, I'm like, I already do that. I'm like, wait a minute, why? So she comes back, and I said, "Hey, like, you know what I do, right?" And she's like, "Yeah, you're a manager here." And I'm like, "Yeah." And I said, "I read your success stories, and it kind of seems like if I go here and spend all this money, I'm just going to end up doing the same thing I'm already doing." She's like, "Well, yeah, but it'll give you leadership skills, and it'll give you, like, a good chance to further, your career in managing and everything like that." I was like, "So are you basically telling me that after I get out of this college, I'm just going to go be a retail manager again?" And she's just like, "Oh, well." I was like, "I'm not doing this," And I think that's what scares me the most, is because so many people in my generation, in our generation, are so much in debt so far because of that lie that we bought into, that it's scary to even want to have a kid. And it's not that we don't, but my goodness gracious, if the thought of not being able to provide for your kid, and I've worked with homeless people, and I've been a little bit around, and I see what that's like now, and I just want to reach out to those people all the time and try to as much as I can, because that can be you at any time. It really can be. Like, you're looking at a version of yourself that could possibly happen when you see that. And that's why I never walk by those people, and like what you're saying with walking to the door and everything, which is just absolutely awesome.
And why I'm doing this politics thing
Mm.
is because I want people to understand that's the reality. Is we take a lot, the economically comfortable. I'm not saying people that are struggling.
Yeah.
The economically comfortable. We take a lot for granted. We are a lot closer to being homeless than we ever will be to being a millionaire.
Mm.
Like you said, that could be you.
Mm.
People need to understand that there are things that the community can do. There are things that the government can do to provide for those people. We live in the richest country in the history of the entire planet.
Mm.
People in America shouldn't be struggling the way they are.
Mm.
But if we break it down in the groups, the way that we treat children is horrendous to me. The way that we treat the elderly is horrendous to me.
Yeah.
The way that we treat veterans is horrendous to me. The way we treat prisoners is horrendous to me. I don't care if you committed a crime, you're still a human being.
Mm.
The way that we treat people in this country is a little horrendous to me, because I know we have the resources to provide for them.
Yeah.
I want people to understand that there is a path forward.
Hmm.
I feel like a lot of people in my generation have given up.
Yeah.
Because they're just like, yeah, what am I going to do, man?
Hmm.
The guy, the Bernie Sanders guy, he was saying all these things that sound nice and are true and would make all our lives better, but he lost, man.
Yeah.
How's anyone going to do anything if he couldn't do it? How's anyone going to do anything if AOC and the squad, they got into Congress, they're not doing anything? So they give up.
Yeah.
We can't give up. We can't give up. Life keeps going. Things are actively getting worse.
Yeah.
Life keeps going. We need to keep pushing forward. There is a path forward.
Yeah.
People need to understand that. Otherwise, they won't do anything about it.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that I'm the guy to lead anything. I'm just trying to get involved, because I know if I don't, I'm going to regret it.
Yeah.
I know that I'm privileged enough to have the time to get involved, because I don't have to sacrifice time with my kids. And, I have a job where I work 40 hours a week and make enough money to be perfectly fine in my living situation. Yeah. Am I sacrificing my social life? Yes. Would I love to be going out with my friends? Yes. Would I love to be doing music stuff, which I want to get into, because politics, we can come back to it, but would I want to be doing other things with my time? Yes.
Yeah.
But this is really important, because people have to understand that there's a way forward. Otherwise, we're not going to go forward.
Yeah.
I think that, like, you said earlier about sometimes we have to, like, sacrifice certain things for the good of the whole. I feel like, and in academic language, I know it to be true, brother, we don't live in America, the country, anymore. We live in America, the empire. We are ruling over people who are not geographically connected to us. And we are dictating their lives. And the sad reality is we used to only be doing that, which was bad enough, and now our government does that to us. The people who live in America, they're doing that to us.
Yeah.
We just don't have the same economic opportunities that past generations did.
Yeah.
You know, going back to like different forms of government and how you can have socialists and capitalists working alongside each other to make a better government. Talking about taxes. Bro, in the 1930s, we had a guy named FDR that raised the corporate tax rate for anyone making what I think if you account for inflation, anyone making over $400,000.
Yeah.
He wanted to raise it to a 100% while we were at war.
Yeah.
Because if we're going to be sending people to go die,
Yeah.
we can't be having people profit off of that. That money should be going back into making sure that the people at home have something worth. The people at home can enjoy the life, and that way there's something worth fighting for. He didn't get that. He got 94%. The corporate tax rate nowadays, I think, is like 28%.
Yeah.
That's horrendous.
Yeah.
That's horrendous. We have Jeff Bezos going to space. Are you serious, bro? There's no way.
Yeah. I had a conversation with that with a buddy too about Bezos and the Virgin Mobile guy. I don't even know how that's still a company. Is going into space, and it's just sickening to me. It's sickening to me to know how he treats people too, because it's out in the open and it's not something that's covered lightly. But again, you don't see much coverage on that because why? And this is where I think the whole fake news, fake media thing came into. People started to wake up and understand. No, and I get a lot of the old heads like to watch CNN and Fox and all that and everything like that, and I'm just like, no, not for me. And it's because I cringe every time I kind of watch those kind of things. But
and it's not even so much that it's quote unquote fake. It's just that they want to spin things in a certain way to serve their audience. And that's problematic because they're not telling you the whole truth.
Yep.
And when you don't get the whole truth, you're going to jump to conclusions.
Yeah.
And that's when you start blaming people who you have no reason to blame them in reality.
Yeah. The blame gets thrown on other people. It's the name blame game. It turns us against each other. We end up fighting, and we end up getting what we're in right now.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely.
Do I politically disagree with conservatives? Yes. Am I willing to work with conservatives to make sure that people have better wages and affordable housing? And yes.
Yeah. Isn't that the point of government?
Yes. Thank you.
I think it's so cool how you're stepping out, honestly. And like you said, I'm just trying to get involved. And so many people, I think, don't understand how, involved they can be. I voted in 2 elections. I did not vote in the last election. I didn't vote in the last election because I don't even know how to explain it. I don't even think I need to explain it, but I just didn't because it's just no, was pretty much. And, like you're saying, oh, you should have gave that vote to a third party, or you shouldn't have gave that vote to a third party person because, you could have stepped for mine. Yeah, that's truthful. A lot of that's happening. So I hope that as you continue your political journey, you just keep being true, because I think that's the most important thing out of that. But your music journey.
Let's go.
Your music journey. Mike, my good friend, Mr. Wentz, you are a part of the band right now, possibly a name change. With some of the COVID restrictions lifting at the moment, you guys going on any tours or anything soon, or?
Well, okay, and I don't want to shit on the Bandamen by any stretch of the imagination.
Yeah.
But we're just a local cover band,
yeah.
man. So,
I guess I meant more so tours of the county, because I know.
we're playing shows.
Yeah.
What is it? Saturday? Yeah. No, Friday, September 17th. We're playing at the Hot Air Balloon Festival in Bird in Hand.
Oh, nice.
And then Sunday the 18th, we have a little stripped down acoustic set at the Rising Sun in Palmyra.
Nice.
We kind of go back to a lot of the same places
Yeah.
if we get the right vibe. I'm telling them all the time that my passion lies, like, I love music, I love performing in general. My passion really lies in like writing music and
Okay.
in original music. So like,
Nice. You don't
like-
get a lot of that nowadays.
I'm like, guys, can we please just throw in a few more original songs?
Yeah. I remember when I had him on the show, I asked him if he was doing any originals. He's like, yeah, we got like one. And I was like, should probably do more.
Yeah, and like, you know, and that's the thing too, is like with the rundowns, like, bro, I didn't know what to expect. I freaking found them from Craigslist. Okay, I found them on Craigslist.
Craigslist bands.
Yeah. And they were like, yeah, we're like a blues cover band, and I was like, blues, all right, like, okay, cool. I show up. We don't play blues, bro.
Yeah.
We play classic rock.
Right.
We don't play blues.
Sweet child of mine.
But
Are you actually playing that? I'm sorry.
actually, we do.
Yeah, I know.
We
That's
do.
I was making fun of Mike. 'Cause
Yeah.
he was just like, you can't. Are you actually playing that? So, going around to some places and everything like that. Obviously, we got to get on the rest of the guys and get you to make some more originals, because you guys rock out. I seen you at Funk's and I seen you at somewhere else. I can't remember what it was, but it was one of the first times I went out to go see Mike. So that's awesome. So what do you see out of your life then with like the music and politics? Can that merge? Are you going to be a singing politician?
I don't see why not. I don't see why not.
Anything's possible.
You know, like I said, I'm sacrificing certain things right now to
Yeah.
do the politics thing. I think the other thing is as much as I'm passionate about music, I don't really see a career in
Yeah.
that. I see that being a hobby, and if it just happens to fall into something bigger, that's great. If not,
Yeah.
I'm satisfied. But yeah, I you know, aside from working with the band, like, I want to have my own original music that I put out.
Yeah.
Cause like my passion lies in like writing music.
Yeah.
I love performing, but even more so than performing, I love just writing music.
Yeah.
Like my old band, One Too Many.
Yep, there we go. Shout
Boom.
out One Too Many. Oh, let me put it on the shirt. One Too Many.
OTM, baby.
Yeah.
R.I.P. Yeah, like it was like me and our lead guitar player Draven who wrote most of the original music. Not that the other guys didn't like help and have like creative input, but like we wrote the bulk of it.
Yeah.
And I think with the rundowns, it's just there's a difference in like taste and genre.
Yeah.
I'm more of like I mean I'll write anything that comes to mind, but I'm more of like a alternative pop, psychedelic sort of feel.
Yeah.
Whereas like, not to put labels on them, but like Mike, Mark, and Bill are more just like straight up like rock.
Yeah.
Which is fine. I love playing rock music. That's just not a lot of the music I write.
Yeah.
So, you know, but that's the thing about bands is you learn how to collaborate people, and I
Yeah.
think tying into politics, like, yeah, I have a song that I want to present to the band, and I present it how I feel, but when they say, okay, let's play it, and, you know, the bass player wants to play a line different than I wrote it, at the end of the day, I'm going to let him play it because I'm not playing bass, bro. Like,
Gotta let it harmonize.
when it comes to politics, yeah, I'll have a policy I want to push.
Yeah.
But if it comes to the public and the public's like, hey, man, let's reconsider this piece. Okay, yeah, like,
Yeah.
I want your input.
Let's talk about this.
I need your input.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, I mean, politics is a performative act.
Yeah.
Like we've been talking about.
Yep.
It's not always about the best ideas. It's about the presentation as
Yeah.
well. So I think that ties into music.
It does.
I'm right now I'm prioritizing the politics, and
Yeah.
you know, if I lose this election and I get jaded for a little bit and I need a couple months, maybe I'll write that sad boy
Right.
EP and
Sad boy political EP.
you know,
Oh, man.
some like angsty teen Rage Against the Machine
There
vibes.
you go. There you go.
Yeah.
I think they need that.
We need Rage Against the Machine back.
Oh man, rage. Oh, good times, good times. I think I'm gonna wrap up here. I'll tell you this. I think it's so amazing how passionate you are. I think it's great what you're doing. And I think it's ballsy what you're doing to be doing it at, like, and admitting that, like, you don't know much about it, but you're ready to go in. You're ready to fight for what you believe in, and I think that is so awesome. I think that's what this country was built on, and I think that the more people can get involved in things like that. How can people get involved in city council? We'll just go with Lancaster City right now, but in general, it can apply as well.
Please, 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 please tune in or come to the city council meetings. They
Yeah.
are I believe it's the second and fourth Tuesday of every month. City council committee meeting is the first Monday of every month. At 6:30 is city council on Tuesdays. 6 o'clock is the committee meetings. If you can't be there in person, it
Yeah.
is available virtually. Just watch. Talk to your neighbors.
Yeah.
Talk to your people in your faith community. Talk to people in your youth group. If
Yeah.
you're a young person who can't vote yet, talk to your friends.
Yeah.
Guys, I'm being 100% honest. I'll never be an expert on everything. I don't know if I'll ever be an expert on anything. But if we all just start piecing this together little by little, we can change
Yeah.
things. We can literally change the physical and social structures that we have to deal with every day, and that's what's important.
Absolutely.
And again, I just want to apologize because, again, I just kind of rambled
No, it's fine.
about some of the political stuff. But again, it's just because, like, I don't really know what to say other than please, 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 please get involved.
Yeah.
Talk to people.
Yeah.
Talk to people. That's how you start.
That's a great message.
And volunteer. If there's like
Yeah.
a food bank or whatever, volunteer. If you can make time, please do that.
Yeah, it's very rewarding at the end of the day, and just like you said, it's not about like the presentation from like a character standpoint of view. It's being real with each other, coming together, disagreeing. It's fine to. Does everybody out there listening know it's fine to disagree? That's absolutely fine. The beauty of it is, what do we disagree on? What are we moving towards? What are we moving forward towards? Because there has to be an end goal with this. You can't just be mad all the time about something without there being an end goal, because that's stupid, right? Oh, man.
Yeah, and I'll be the first one to tell you, like, I'm not gonna deal with some racist bullshit.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna
absolutely.
deal with bigoted bullshit. Like, if we disagree on that, it's
Yeah.
not because I'm wrong.
Yeah.
But if we disagree on like economic
Yeah,
policy,
more
okay.
so.
Yeah.
We're talking about tangible things.
Yeah,
tangible
yeah,
things here. There's
You come at me with some racist bullshit, you're gonna get it.
there's no room for any of that stuff, and it's
Yeah.
sad to know that it still exists.
And again, the way to fight that, talk to your neighbors.
Talk to your neighbors.
Talk to people.
Yeah.
Get out there, especially young people. I know we all are, bro, I am addicted to my cell phone. Okay, I know we all are. Talk to people.
Talk to people, not just virtually. Get out there and talk to people.
Virtually's okay.
Yeah, true.
But
there's
yes.
nothing like that human experience.
Yes.
If we did this virtually, I don't know how to read it.
Bro, there would be too much lag.
Exactly. Thank you for coming on. It was a pleasure meeting you.
Thank you for having me.
Very, very nice meeting you. How can people support you? How can they learn more about the party? And when can they go out and vote?
So you can go out and vote, and it should be the same for like every municipality, because I'm pretty sure this is federal law. The first Tuesday of November, which in this case is November 2nd,
Yep.
that's going to be your voting day in your municipality. To support me, go to www.goldgoose.party. And that'll bring you to the homepage. Obviously, if you want to donate, pretty please, because again, like, I don't have the financial donors.
It's independent.
Yeah.
There's no sponsorship, corporations, anything behind it.
If you can't donate, that's 100% fine. If you can donate time, beautiful. If you can donate knowledge, like if you just want to talk to me,
Yeah.
especially if you're someone who does know about criminal justice reform, or if you're someone who, please educate me.
Yeah.
I'm trying to educate myself, but there's just not enough hours in the day.
Yeah, absolutely. Whether you win or lose, I wish you the best of luck. I'm glad that you're going out and experiencing this, because honestly, I just think it's so cool that you're even just stepping out and doing this. And even though it's a city council, guess what? It's a city council.
Yeah.
You know, it still is important. Cannot tell anybody how important it is, even though I did not, so I'm being a bit of a hypocrite right now. It is very important to go out and vote. I totally believe in voting at the local level, even though I may think that the federal level is a little skewed on some things, but local level, 100% every time that I had gone out and supported, and I don't want to say my candidate, but the candidate that was chosen that I particularly voted for, I got to go to a bunch of cool meetings and see people work together, and I still have hope and faith in this country that we can do that, whether you're a Republican, Democrat, independent, conservative, liberal, as long as you're not on no racist bullshit. Let's come together. Let's come together like we always have every time. Let's come together like that time after 9/11 in 2001 when the country came together. Let's come together when all of those crazy bombings were happening, and especially in this time right now. Everyone, if you pray. If you don't, please keep in your thoughts Afghanistan right now and everything that's going on in that country. Regardless of what you think on it and regardless of what side you stand on, it's a horrible thing that's happening to people that I don't, in my opinion, didn't need to happen. And that's kind of part of what Joey and I were talking about here today, is that we can be a voice in things like that. So please keep all the soldiers in your prayer, and all of the people over there in your prayers or your thoughts, whatever you do. If you want to check out the band, you can check them out around Lancaster City at a couple venues.
Yeah, we don't really have any like music out yet, but if you
Yeah.
just look us up on like Facebook or Instagram, the Rundowns or the Rundowns band.
You can check them out there too as well.
And again, listen, I know we're trying to wrap up, but listen, voting is important.
Yes.
If you don't vote, that's fine. Go out and do something for your community, because quite honestly, that's more important. That's more important.
Absolutely.
If you can make the time to do that, that's all I can ask for.
Absolutely.
You don't have to be an elected official to make a difference.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
Yeah.
I completely agree with that. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
If you guys want to find out more about Joey, again, you go to the goldengoose.party.
Party.
Not .com, .party. Read up on him, guys. I know we only got to go into a little bit here in this interview, but I wanted to have him on because the point of this show is everybody has a story to tell, and I think it's so cool when we're able to dive into some deep topics that a lot of people might not be comfortable with talking about, and understanding different perspectives of it. So anybody that ever wants to come on and have different conversations of different perspectives, you all have a story to tell. Your story is very, very important, and I am just so blessed to be able to do this with people like Joey that want to get involved in community and make a difference. So that's so cool. As always, guys, you can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and YouTube at Wallace Production, WALLESS Production. Check out the new channel, Talk to Me Clips, where you can see small little short clippets like the one I just did here with Joey, if you don't feel like watching hour-long podcasts. And you can always support the channel by going to talktome.patreon.com. Any amount of money goes towards the production of this show and helping get more people on with great stories to tell. Any final words?
Again, there is a way forward. Do whatever you think is the important work in your community. And whether it's religious or not, have faith.
Have faith.
Have faith.
Have faith, guys. Thank you again so much, sir. We'll see you guys.